And we're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Changing the Lost Smoky Mountain Wilds. I am William, or Shawnee, and I am your storyteller for this Changing the Lost Second Edition Chronicle. Joining me today, we have Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm playing Calliope Danielle Scott, also known as Cassandra Scott. She is an elemental polychromatic. I almost started into Wednesday's spiel. I'm not playing my Eldari today.
Yeah, hell of a thing to walk into a changeling room.
But not a miss. Like, not out of place.
And Drevian.
Drevian, I'm playing Frisian, the Darkling Hunterheart.
And Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I am playing Jackson Montgomery, Marlena Dubois, Ferris Shadowland.
Montgomery.
Montgomery.
And Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I am playing Joe Arbor, who is an elemental notary.
And as always, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, eat the rich, happy Wrath Month, and I'm sure there's something else I'm missing right
now. Probably.
Our opening.
Our stream is not powered by Sirenscape.
Not right now. It could be, but I'm not doing it right now. But when last we left our motley, the group of them had split up a couple of ways and then reconvened again. As my brain just blanks on names. As Jackson, I know why my brain blanked on that name because the player is not in the Roll20.
That sounds like a. Actually, that sounds like a me problem.
As Jackson, as Marlena, I believe. Did you go in full? No, you're in plain clothes, right? As Jackson.
Yes, currently
made their way into the city to meet with their old previous contact, drag daughter, and only person who bore witness to what happened to Jackson back in the 90s.
Yep.
As the two of them met each other once more and sort of discussed what had been going on with the fetch that had been left in Jackson's place in the years since. The group came upon the individual plan of figuring out how to kill the fetch as just the immediate next goal.
Have a plan.
With Calliope revealing that her spouse has had experience in killing fetches, Jackson asked if they would like to join in. So Calliope gave them a call, and they arrived near the end of our last session, bearing weapons that had been asked to be brought, and seemingly very on board for dealing with a fetch again. And we pick up right there.
All right.
As Bologna has tossed a bag of weapons onto the ground, asked who we're killing, and Jackson expressed how unfortunate it is that they are romantically involved.
Yes. So the short version of this is we're killing mine.
All right.
So Jackson like Montgomery.
Probably
plus 25 years, but yes.
Okay.
Which really,
holy hell! I am so sorry.
Thank you. Really, that shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Well, I mean, that sort of depends on who they are and what they're doing with it.
Well, my understanding, and Violet can clarify this for us, is after having destroyed everything that I put together over the last however long that took, is living alone in their nice rich mansion somewhere. Is that correct?
As Violet, who had been in the middle of having a drink, hears her name called and is like, "Oop," and finishes what she was drinking. Puts the thing down. Yeah, that's about the gist of it.
Security?
I mean, I don't know the whole details, but it's definitely fenced in, has cameras, and I've seen guards walking around. A couple of times I've
Alright.
driven past it.
No, this is entirely doable. I'm certainly going to hope that despite drag here being what it is, you have still kept your makeup and everything.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when this place got shut down, I turned it into sort of what you did with your warehouse,
Right.
sort of a hideaway for anyone who needs it.
I need you to make me look about 25 years older than I am.
I can probably pull that off. I need to do some real contouring. The
Of
you that is
course.
here now does not smile.
Oh, I can manage not smiling in this situation. Do we have? It sounds like they're a bit of a shut-in. Do they ever go out at all? That you know of?
I mean, I haven't really been able to keep up with them that much. From what
Right.
I understand, they moved out of drag and into politics, basically.
Ugh. I hate the
And
person even more.
specifically the politics of stopping drag from being a thing.
Right. So they have to go out. I am going to. Someone give me one. Oh, yes, that's right. I have a computer as I pull out my phone.
Mhm.
And I'm going to start I just want to see if they're involved in anything political. There's a good chance. I want to find video of them because I want to study how they move,
Easy enough.
etc. So I'm not just walking in like upright, everything's fine, and they have a limp now, or half their head is missing. I don't fucking know.
Roll me intelligence and investigation. It's not hard to do the
Alrighty.
search because you don't need a computer roll.
Intelligence. Investigation, which I do actually have a dot of. Good. That's not a +3 that I want to, or -3 that I want to have.
And
One.
success. So as you look around, there are a few obvious details that you learn as you do a quick Google search on who Jackson Montgomery is in the current era.
Mhm.
And what you learn is you look like the most Connecticut blue blood fucking Colonel Sanders ass motherfucker you've ever seen. As you look in there, most of their hair is gone either gray or white. Their face
Okay.
is covered in crease lines from constant scowling.
Good. That's easy. That makes it easier to create with makeup.
Yeah. They walk with a cane, which seems to involve an amount of a limp as they sort of lean on one leg. It doesn't
Alright.
seem like they're injured. It just seems like they're old, and
Right.
sort of you use the cane a lot. And dresses primarily in like the most stock standard of white man business suit.
Okay. That's all perfectly attainable. This is not going to be too difficult. The only there is some way to locate this shots of this property, correct?
Oh, we can just pull it up on Google Maps. Bologna says.
Sure. And yeah, I'm gonna pull up the. I want to find every piece of information I can about this building by digitally casing the joint.
Yeah, so like Bologna walks you through and sort of like, well, you got the satellite view here as she pulls up the thing and just blows up the satellite as big as she can pull it up. And then that'll get us like a good overhead view. There's also a Google Street View, which won't go inside the compound, but it'll at least drive past it. She says as she puts it through the street view, and you can see the building from the front as the camera is positioned basically on the road, passing the front gate. What you're seeing is what looks to have been at one point a plantation home that has been turned into a mansion, like big, like old Victorian style architecture, tall building with 2 or 3 floors, very broad. It looks like most of the farmland has been turned into just like the neighborhood around it. It is in the middle of a like a high class, wealthy neighborhood, but the house itself still has that sort of old aesthetic to it. It's got about 100 foot of yard in the front and back, and about half that on the sides, all of which is fenced in with tall, like brick walls with spiked fence work over it. Automated front gate that seems to respond to presumably either a keypad or a card. And cameras on basically every 40 feet. And the street view shows a couple of guards walking around, just taking a chill walk.
Okay.
Can Joe make a suggestion? You know, Google Street Maps will give you some good information, but if we can pull up any real estate listing on the house, that can give us even more information, maybe even pictures or something on the inside.
All right.
Bologna, sweetie. Pull out your laptop and do what you can do. I know you can. Find the blueprints.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Wait.
She reaches into another bag that she's wearing, pulls out a laptop, and just sort of sets it on the table, flips it open. Gets to work.
Well, okay.
Computers. Funny thing is, I know some people, and if I don't know where to find it, they will.
I'm sure you do.
So
Calliope,
go ahead.
Calliope's just sort of made herself at home, like sitting on the edge of the bar, not too far away, just like rocking her legs and kind of staring at him or her, just like very much that teenager on like the third date sort of look.
That's what she gets, and then I'm gonna roll for her contacts. Of course, they do that much better. Okay. So, as you're sort of looking at her, you can see that she's pulling up real estate listings on one screen and then pulling up what appears to be a dark web chat channel on a different one. As she like the laptop sort of folds up and then two more screens fold out of the main screen off to both sides. As she sort of starts punching information in. I mean, I'm finding basic real estate listings. I've got like a generalized floor plan, but this listing is several years old. It looks like this thing hasn't been up for sale for a long time. Ever since the Fetch bought it, it hasn't gone back on the market. So any renovations they've done won't be on this floor plan.
Makes sense.
But we do have what it looked like before they bought it. And it is very, very much the sort of standard like Victorian plantation house. Big open central hall, 2 or 3 floors, like three floors total. The big central hall rises up across all 3 floors, and then there are like hallways that branch out on both sides that lead to various sitting rooms and other small rooms. It looks like it has modern amenities. It's got electricity. It's got internet. A lot of everything's been brought up to code to make sure that while it keeps the aesthetic, it also meets modern standards of livable house. But some of my friends have a little bit more. As she looks at the screen to her left. We've got eyes and intel on their security force. Information I'm getting on who's employed and what their pay is, what their numbers are, and what their schedule looks like.
Wonderful.
Pays to have friends.
Well,
She was amazing.
You ain't wrong. So, in like anything that I was able to find of the Fetch, they show them speaking.
Yeah. They have
Basically the same.
Essentially, but they've leaned even harder into the Southern accent. They are very much old Southern money at this point.
I appreciate the game, bitch, but also ew. All right, that'll be easy enough to accomplish.
doesn't it just make you want to take a shower? Ugh.
Yes. The blood of a Fetch.
I think that's just. I think that might just be mud.
It might be, but we will find out. All right, so here's the plan. It's going to be easy enough.
I'm going to really pick rolling a cult for Bologna because I want to see what they know about fetches. Hang on. 2 successes isn't bad. There's one detail you're going to want to worry about. In my research, I don't know a whole lot, but I do know a little bit. Now that you're back in the real, the Fetch probably knows that.
I'm sure that it does.
By which I mean, Fetches, from what I understand, have an intrinsic sense when the person they're supposed to be imitating comes back. They start having nightmares and start sensing you.
Does it know where I am?
I don't think they know exactly where you are, but it's going to be looking for you to kill you to make the nightmares go away.
Fantastic. Hey, look at that. We finally have something in common.
Just keeps getting better and better.
So here is the plan. I am going to assume, and it is a big assumption, but I think it is a safe one, that not me, is not going to be likely to inform its security. Oh, there's a fake me running around because that sounds insane.
And if you pay a security force well enough, they'll forgive any eccentric, crazy old man ramblings.
Perhaps.
But security usually gets paid shit.
Yeah, not if you want them to actually protect you because you're rich.
This is absolutely fair. But still, how do you explain that?
I mean,
There's someone who looks like me, only 25 years younger,
yeah, I mean,
who's going to try and kill me.
I've got an imposter being trained to try and replace me as a thing. It sounds insane, but
You're not wrong. But it is still worth, I am willing. It's the easiest way to get in. And let's be honest, the out of security will probably be the worst paid and probably worst informed security.
oh yeah, like they'll keep the best paid, best trained, most loyal stuff directly around them. So
All I need to do is get inside. Mm. Once I get inside, it ain't gonna matter one way or the other.
if you're aiming for collateral damage, I'll recommend getting inside when it'll actually get them. Because I mean, if they're out on a trip and you burn their house down, it's not going to kill them.
Why would I want to burn my new house down?
I mean, fair enough. You're going to take over the Politico lifestyle.
Fuck no. Jackson Montgomery changed their mind once. They can goddamn well do it again.
I mean, fair enough.
Look, I am excited. I am excited to cut this thing into pieces slowly, bit by bit. But this person has a whole lot of money and a whole lot of resources. Why would I let any of that go to waste?
I mean, fair enough.
So once we get in,
if Dolly Parton can Botox herself 25 years younger, so can you.
Absolutely. It's not like that is uncommon in our industry. Therefore, once I get inside, once I get through the gate, be easy enough to get all of you in by shutting down the security, shutting down the cameras, etc.
The electronic security, I don't know how you're going to shut the guards down.
It's called a bullet.
Yeah, I don't think they'll keep working for you at that point.
No, I will have to hire new security. That will be unfortunate, but I'm sure I can afford it. There is no way I will trust these people to continue working for me. And frankly, then they may not know what they're working for, but they know what they're working for is who they're working for or what they're working for. This is weird terminology at this point, but whatever, is about.
Yeah, probably.
And those people, I can't kill them all, but I can kill some of them, and I'm happy with that.
I'm just saying you're going to want to be careful about that part because, armed security force, if you kill one, the rest of them try and kill you.
It'd be a lot harder for them to do so once there are no cameras and other security things that they will rely on. And hopefully y'all will be in there with me at that point.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, be careful about that part.
Should somebody be taking notes?
I mean, I can if you want me to, but I feel like this shouldn't be written down.
No.
Vilhona says.
I'm also not I I don't feel like this is going to be a thing where whatever plan we make is really going to be worth the carbon or the ink that scrolls it out, because it is going to change instantly and probably multiple times, like any plan.
That's fair enough.
Step one, getting it in. Step two, get y'all in. Step three, wing it from there.
Oh,
Are
good.
we aiming? Are we
Improv
aiming
with a
for?
gun.
Are we aiming for get in while you air quotes are home, or while you're
Yes.
out? Wait
Well,
for you to get home.
that's actually much better. We should find out when I'm out. Yes.
Okay.
Let's find out what my schedule is.
If you're comfortable with it, I can get friends to help, but I don't know how much you trust anyone that I work with. And that's fair. It's kind of our job to do this kind of stuff.
I mean, ideally, if I can get in by myself. I have a lot. Because I was thinking if I could get in by myself, I'm sure he has a nice big closet I can hide in and wait until he's ready to go to sleep, and then it's just very simple. But then there is a possibility that the outside security can tip him off.
Thought the outside security was getting a bullet through the head.
If he's not home yet, it's easy for me to slip in and them not realize it. Then he doesn't know anything is wrong until it's too late.
Well,
And
I'm
his
getting
security
info
is
on the
not
guard
around.
shifts here. If we time it right, we can always come
Just
in
sneak in.
while he's out before a guard shift changes. So the new guard shift presumably won't be as informed about your whereabouts. Assuming that lines up, their trip outside coinciding with the changing of the guard.
Yeah, if we can make that work, that would be better. It goes against my theatrical nature, but I will allow it.
I'm just saying, like, a guard who was told, hey, the boss is inside, but never actually saw them come in, is a lot less likely to question it when the boss shows up at the front door again.
You made your point. I am agreeing with you. It is fair.
So we got
Yes,
sort of
let's
an
find
outline
out.
of a plan. Yeah, I'm getting shift schedules poured in. Looks like guard shift changes at 11 a.m., 11 p.m. With rotating shift, sort of a half-hour period in between. So the guards will be fully changed out by noon and midnight. They'll be doing the change throughout the hour between. This is sort of a 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts kind of thing.
All right. This is more this aspect of it would be more your thing than mine, to be honest. So I'm willing to take whatever recommendations you have. Let you take point.
On what, the getting inside?
On the getting inside.
Like I said,
I'm
if you trust my friends, I can get you an escort.
how likely are your friends to try and kill us?
Not very. They're more likely to want to kill the fetch because it's sort of our job. Because the fetch is fucking around pretending to be a person that it's not.
Oh, the fetch will die. The one thing that I will stipulate is I'm sorry, they don't get to kill the fetch. That's me.
Fair enough.
As long as they are highly unlikely to kill us, I don't mind the help, as long as nobody else objects.
Like I got two options that I can get you. I can get you my crew, or I can get you some Union boys. The Union boys are less reliable in terms of understanding you, but they're much better at actually doing the security job.
Okay.
My crew is more likely. Well, my crew is my crew. I vet them. I know them personally. The Union boys are friends of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
All right.
they're better armed, better trained than most of us in my crew typically will be. But again, there's a distance there. My crew, I guarantee they will not be a threat to you.
But the others will be more effective, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Bologna looks at everybody else.
That's what I'm saying. Thoughts?
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what if you got you and you've got she gestures to who are they right now?
Bologna. To be fair, they're either Tier or Bologna regardless. They're genderqueer. They take both names and all pronouns at all times. They're just presenting facts.
Okay, she gestures to Valona and says, if you've got their crew or their people, other than providing refreshments, I don't know exactly what I'm doing here.
I mean, all of you probably have something you can do. I don't know if you've done any experimenting with it or not, but from my understanding, changelings have some really useful tricks up their sleeves.
Calliope will hop down from the bar and walk over and just pick up one of the gallons of water, rip it open, and just shake it really hard into the air, and then grab a sword made of ice.
Like that.
I do have to roll, so
yeah, you are touching your element, so you don't need to spend glamour on it, but
such a weird pool. Okay.
Yeah, it is a weird pool. You're rolling your weird.
Oh.
Present, survival, and weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna spend a willpower on this.
Good thing.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Brilliant. Would you
Bring
like
out a
to cause
botch.
that? Would you like to cause that to be a dramatic failure? Or a beat?
Yes. So the dramatic failure is that the weapon reacts in a wild and dangerous manner, inflicting inappropriate tilt on the changeling.
Hang on a minute. I'm trying to. Some of these tilts are environmental and won't actually make sense because I was gonna say flooded works, but it actually is just like the environment is flooded. So 1 second. I will say that for the rest of the scene, you are under the effects of a blizzard. You specifically.
So as soon as that turns to ice, it just goes down her entire arm and starts creeping over her body, and she's stuck still.
Yeah, as the ice sort of like the ice blade sort of sinks into her, and you see most of the fluid that makes up Calliope sort of harden a little bit as it sort of freezes over. You're still able to move. You're at a -1 penalty to see anything, and also to make any range attacks, and -1 penalty to any physical rolls, basically. As you are basically moving as if through a blizzard.
She's just going to sort of sink to the ground.
As she tries that, and Bologna looks over. Like that, but are you okay?
Yeah. I'm just cold.
Like I said, I have no clue how it works, and I imagine it takes experimentation. Can I help at all?
Just get me warm.
The first thing she does is immediately pull you in close and just sort of sheer body heat as she just sort of presses you up against her. The second thing that she does is pull you're sort of out of a travel kit that she seems to have in one of her bags. Just pulls out a blanket and sort of wraps it around you.
So things like that, but make sure it works.
Mm.
I didn't do that the last 2 times I tried.
Yeah, I imagine it's dangerous, and that well, you succeeded 2 times and failed on the third. If that's not a storybook moment, okay.
I think I'll stick with the regular machete.
But I mean, that's an impressive trick, especially when it works. Turning water into a weapon is something that none of my men can do. And I imagine each of you have your own tricks that you can do. Maybe not exactly that, but things like that. That'll give you an edge in performing this kind of job because you're going to be dealing with mundane security.
I honestly don't know.
I mean, do you want to stay back? That is perfectly fine if you do.
No, I want to help. I just kind of feel this useful as a $2 bill right now.
$2 bills bring good luck.
Bologna, can you hook us up with some comms?
I mean, it's real easy to just have phones, but yeah, I can get you like some walkie-talkies or like headsets if you need them.
The more discreet, the better. Joe, you think you got nothing to contribute, but you're extremely perceptive and you're very detail oriented. We need you on the outside in case shit goes bad. That way, we got somebody who can watch us in case the cops show up or anything like that.
I can do that. I can be a lookout.
I think that means the other four of us are on takedown duty. I personally would prefer if it was your crew. But this isn't my fight, she will say, looking at Jackson.
Sorry, I missed what you said before. This isn't my fight.
I would personally prefer your crew, meaning Network Zero instead of the Union.
Mm-hmm. If people are not comfortable with the slightly more likely to kill us option, then we will not go with the slightly more likely to kill us option. My point is not to put anybody's life on the line beyond what they are comfortable with. So if it's your crew that it is to be, then there we go.
And I mean, the plus side of the plus side of working with my crew is there's not much chance they'll mistake you for your fetch.
All right.
So you won't have to worry about that confusion thing. She says, tapping the sunglasses that she's wearing on her forehead. She hasn't put them down at the moment, but
well. All right, so we're using your crew. We are getting in secretly so we can get inside. Said fetches can potentially will be aware that I am. It will be aware that I am back. Can it detect others?
I think, child. I believe the specific connection is with you as the person that the fetch is imitating.
All right. We'll have to look at the security once we get there. But my thought is when we get there, hopefully, I'll be honest, depending on how many personality traits it and I share, I would imagine, and just playing on the notion of rich conservative asshole, I would be willing to bet that it doesn't give more than a second thought to the outside security and probably couldn't pick them out of a lineup.
I mean, if standard rich conservative asshole, probably, yeah.
So once we get in, if we can to use a euphemism, give security the night off permanently, we can
I would
set
say
up outside. We can set up security team in the proper outfits.
I would say that while the Union might be better at their job than we are in that particular regard, we're probably still better trained than any random PMC. So
Okay.
probably do that.
So we pink slip security. That's there. We set up perhaps your crew, perhaps. If we need more, we have more people to act as the outside security so that it doesn't understand that it is in danger until it is too late. And then once it gets into its boudoir, this situation is handled from there.
Well, from what I'm seeing on the reports I'm getting in from my crew, I'm getting numbers in. Usually there's about a dozen people on staff for security at the location. Whenever the old man goes out, he goes with a crew of 4 as his bodyguard.
So that leaves 8.
Separate from the house staff.
Separate from the 12.
There's always a dozen on staff at the house and 4 that follow him whenever he goes anywhere.
I see. Oh. I would assume that he's willing to trust that staff is doing it and doesn't go around and meet with each individual staff member.
Yeah, probably.
So the people patrolling out back, for example, and the people in I don't fucking know. I'm not a security person. Wherever the security people will be, that they're not in his face. We may not have to put people there. In other words, we may not need 12 people.
Yeah, we may not need a full 12 now. We'll need at least the 4 for your escort.
Of course. All right, let's get to work then.
Okay. I'm going to put together your 5-man band. You guys have any ideas what you want to do, or because I know Joe, suggested that you might be good at keeping us in the loop from the outside if anything goes wrong. If you're comfortable with that, I can set you up with some comms equipment to help get everybody in communication.
I appreciate that.
Tall statue-like and brooding. Anything in particular you want to do?
Not particularly.
Mm-hmm. Like while I put together an escort, I'm sure there will be other useful hands. Like I would imagine this guy has a driver and pulling off some form of manner of general servant that helps sell the effect. Probably worthwhile. And Cal, I don't know what you might want to end up doing.
I want to fight.
I mean, I can take one off my crew and put you in their place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I only need to pull 2 other guys. So, driver, security team with me,
Mm-hmm.
communications. You're the big man in charge.
All right.
We want to take a day to make sure this is all coordinated.
Absolutely. Well, it depends on when he's going to be unavailable.
Yeah. We probably want to get a good idea of what his upcoming schedule looks like. So
Yes, we will need it. We will need it. We will need some time. This is we as much as I would like to, we are not doing this tonight.
Yeah, I'll get some of my crew on surveillance and see if I can figure out what his schedule looks like.
All right.
And we'll give it a couple of days and see what we can figure out.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan. Okay. As Violet, having listened to this entire thing, is just like, I'm just going to keep sitting here and drinking. Violet seems to be like halfway between I am witnessing the premeditation of a murder and holy shit, there might actually be a drag scene in this city again. And Bologna sort of pulls the laptop up, puts it back in her bag. Okay. I can get out of your hair and start organizing this, unless there's anything else you need me for.
No, that will be perfectly fine.
Right. She'll sort of stand up. Callie, you okay?
Yeah. I think I'll be all right.
Sorry, it's not much of a date night. Plans got in the way, but
About what time is it?
it's about 11-ish.
I mean, if y'all like to step outside, we can all pretend we didn't hear anything.
Bits of pinks and reds will show on her face, even through the ice.
Which is starting to chip away at this point. You're starting to warm up.
Jackson, I want to ask you if I can give this offer out. Would it be all right if Bologna drove me home?
Of course. I don't see why not.
Because your secrets are yours to keep, and your home is.
Look, if my fetch knows that I'm back, no offense, but somebody far more dangerous than you already knows where it is. I consider that a small risk comparatively.
I mean, I track your meaning.
So I have no issue with that. And again, not to put too fine a point on it, and this would be the furthest thing from my mind as a possibility, but should that information be put by anybody to use in a way that would harm those inside, I would respond appropriately, and I think you know that. And none of us want that, so it is fine.
Like I said, most of the time we don't bother changelings, and changelings don't try to bother people in general. Like, it's not something that comes up often. I don't feel like I'm going to need your information for anything. And I'm not going to have a reason to share it with anybody. Okay. So you want to ride home?
Yeah.
Let's go. I'll put the heat on in the car.
Much appreciated.
And Bellona will lead the way out to her truck. Meanwhile, back inside, as Calliope and Bellona head out, Violet sort of looks over. And now that all the grisly details are planned out, y'all need a place to sleep for the night. I can take any that want to stay here if you don't want to get an Uber back to the warehouse.
That is probably fair. I have a question, by the way.
Yeah?
Is it fair to guess that my car is long gone at this point?
she sort of like lowers her head into her shoulders a little bit. It's technically still around.
Okay,
Oh, I can't wait to
the
hear.
way you said that makes me very curious here, Violet. What exactly does that mean? Technically, is it being used to house plants at this point? Has it gained sentience and walked away and is exploring what life means for a living vehicle?
I mean, it was already not that young of a car when you got it, and after a while, it didn't want to keep running. So I sort of turned it into a grow op because it's nice and shaded, but not too shaded.
I was joking on that part, but fair enough. The point is, it does not take gas anymore, is what you are saying.
Not really. Like,
all right, fair enough.
Unless it's biofuel.
Fine. It's fine. Once I bathe in the blood of my fetch, I will have my own vehicle. Maybe several. We will find out.
I seem like the kind of person to have a 12-car garage.
Not the.
So, staying here tonight, getting an Uber.
I think I can stay here tonight. If everybody else is okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Probably be the
Sounds
wisest
fine.
thing to do.
It sounds fine, but Calliope is going back to the warehouse. So if we're not going to go back to the warehouse, should probably inform Calliope of that.
That is fair.
I don't think she's gonna mind that, Violet says.
Yeah, no, she may not be making it to the warehouse at all.
Joe, do you just text Calliope and say that we're going to be staying at Violet's for the night?
Joe is going to text our friends like, I hope I'm not disturbing anything, but we're staying here tonight. We're not going back to the warehouse. Do with that information what you will.
You're about 5 minutes down the road when you get that text. You're still on the road in the passenger seat of a fairly well-stocked truck.
So has the camera shifted, or
Yeah, so the camera will shift over to the truck as the group tries to get
she's
settled in for the night.
probably been fairly quiet since the start of the ride, but as soon as her phone goes off, I forgot about that. Looks like I will be staying alone tonight.
I mean, do you need to?
I mean, no, but they won't be coming back to the warehouse tonight.
I mean, the kids have someone watching them. I've been out well into the hours of the morning before on work. Or you could come back to, I don't know if calling it our house would be traumatic, but
Yeah, let's. I want to see it.
all right. And Bologna will change lanes and start driving in a slightly different direction. As you find yourself moving rather than back to Williamsburg. Pull up the vicinity as I should have had from the beginning of the session and didn't think to. Yeah, rather than heading back to Williamsburg, you end up taking a left on the highway and end up in Sevierville, which is just north of Pigeon Forge and Williamsburg. And eventually, you find yourself pulling up to a house that is not quite in a neighborhood and not quite out in the middle of nowhere. It exists on a lone stretch of road that is off the side of one of the main roads. And there are other houses in the vicinity, but this is the South. There is a lot of space and yard between houses that are not in the middle of a federated neighborhood. So this one house probably has like 300 or 400 feet between it and the next house. So while it is, it looks like a very standard, like 2 stories above ground, probably an extra story beneath, that sort of like sits awkwardly on a hill. So it's got this sort of like lopsided build that was very much sort of seems like it was built to the terrain. So sort of like a 2.5 story kind of building. With the standard like T angle, like angled roof with the old shingles that look like they probably need to be replaced at some point soon. And a gravel driveway for the car to pull into. There's a relatively fenced in, like 60 to 100 square foot backyard that looks like it has space for, like, there is a doghouse out there, although it doesn't look like it gets used. There's another car in the driveway. and the lights are generally dim, but there is a light in the living room that you can sort of see through the door. The whole environment around you just sort of smells of the low growing grass and the scent of oak and pine from the forest that sort of sits around the back of the house. And as the car shuts off and you've finally warmed up from accidentally freezing yourself, Bellona opens the door and steps out. Well, welcome home. I don't know how much of it you remember, but
do I need to make a clarity roll here?
yeah, we'll call this a breaking point. Sample breaking points. We will call this. We will call this a 2-die breaking point. It's not that impactful, but it is something.
Okay, so just roll 2 die, or
yeah, roll. It's a simple roll of 2 dice. Let me pull up your character sheet and see if it's doing things.
Okay,
It should have like pulled up a dialogue box.
No.
Here, let me. Pair of ones, nada.
Okay.
So yeah, you sort of jogged by the fact that you only have fleeting memories of this building, but it doesn't hinder your sanity in any way. It's just sort of bizarre.
It's beautiful, but you gotta get the roof fixed, honey.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that. I sleep through most of the day. I just need to pay someone to do it at some point.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember a lot of this. Some of it I do, but smell. Let's get inside.
And Bellona will step up the front steps and unlock the door and open it up. Inside, you see that there is a young adult woman, probably like early 20s, sitting on the couch, just sort of watching TV. As Bellona enters, she has like short blonde hair, sort of pulled back in a ponytail, average build, doesn't look to be anything particularly special. As Bellona walks in, she sort of speaks up. Hey, Candace, kids in bed, and the girl sort of looks up. Oh yeah, hey, yeah, they're asleep. I take it you're home for the night, and Bellona nods. Yeah, you can get on, and she turns the TV off, stands up. Bellona hands her some cash as she walks by, and she heads out, gets in her car, and drives off. That's just the lady that watches the kids while I'm out at night, usually.
She isn't really registering anything that's just happened. She's just sort of taking in the house.
Yeah, the interior of this place is largely hardwood. Like it's not the. It almost looks like someone was trying to build that sort of like old-fashioned log cabin stock kind of aesthetic. It's very much hardwood floors, like stone fireplace, walls that look like they're made of wood paneling, although they're probably over a more solid facade. Uh, Big fancy entertainment center in on the far wall in front of the couch. So not entirely old-fashioned, but uh, but you can see that there's a set of stairs that go up onto the second floor that you can see a pair of rooms at the top of the stairs that look like they are specifically designed to be the children's rooms. And then it sort of goes off to one side into a hallway that probably leads to the master bedroom. There's a kitchen off to one side, bathroom on this floor, and several on a couple on the upper floor as well. And then another staircase that goes down into what is presumably that sort of half story that is also sort of the basement-esque kind of area.
Well, I must say, I am impressed. You managed to keep it clean without me having to be here.
Yeah, that's not entirely me. The kids help out. So does Candace whenever she's around. I try to do what I can when I'm up in the morning, but I'm a night owl. I don't spend a whole lot of time in the day unless I'm taking the kids somewhere. They're both in, early years of elementary school, so.
She will begin walking into the kitchen. Have they started reading yet?
Oh, they both read better than everyone else in their class.
And
they want to start reading the books themselves instead of having me or Candace read them to them.
now, and she will begin just like rote, begin just taking out 2 wine glasses and walking over to the fridge. Now, tell me you aren't reading them any of that. Tell me you're reading them something with substance.
Oh, always. Nothing like they're not getting the random recycled garbage that some 2-bit author put down. Stuff that has real themes and meanings. I start asking them questions if they understand what the story's about. See if they get what the lesson's supposed to be.
Have you red or white?
If we have both, I'll take a red.
Open that and pour 2 glasses. Have you read Grimm's fairy tales to them?
I kind of couldn't avoid it, honestly. Like my line of work and everything going on, it just seemed appropriate. Not the unedited versions that would frighten a modern child for weeks, but the child friendly versions.
I suppose that's acceptable. I wanted, obviously we are, but I wanted to talk. Ever since yesterday, can't Can't get my damn name out of my head.
Do you want to use it or do you want to not?
I think I'd like to try it. I feel like I don't know what other people in my persuasion do, but Calliope came about because I didn't know any better. I didn't know who I was when I came out. And I've been trying to play catch up over the last 3 days, and it's
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it also sounds like it came about because of something that they called you, rather than something that you want to call yourself.
never could hide anything from you.
I understand that can be painful, but I also understand that that can be hard to escape from. So, if you want to keep it, that's understandable. If you want to completely abandon it and go by something else, that's also understandable. If you want to pick up your old name, I get that. If it holds too many painful memories and you want something entirely new, get that too. There's a whole lot of ways you could take that, and I couldn't blame you for any of them.
I think I want to go back to Cassandra.
Let me know if it's ever uncomfortable. Lord knows I picked my names, so.
Well, the good thing is with my memory loss, you're the only one that knows the original ones, so you don't ever have to worry about that. Not that I ever would, but and she'll just sort of put her hand on Bologna's cheek. You have done so well without me here. And I know that this whole thing must have been, I can't imagine the struggle you went through.
You can see tears sort of start to well in the corner of her eyes as the literal weight of everything that she has been through crashes down. I just think I've gone every day just wondering, missing you, and just trying to stay alive.
I'm not sure where I'm at right now, but I want to tell you, you don't have to do it alone anymore. I'm back for a reason. And I know reclaiming my life isn't going to be easy, but I feel it would be a little bit easier with you by my side.
Glad to have you back, and I'm happy to take it as slow or as fast as you need it to be.
She will finish her glass, pour another one, and then just begin walking to the living room and then just hook a finger into the collar of her shirt and pull her with her. And then just sit and talk.
Yeah. And as the scene fades out on that, we will go ahead and go to our break there. So remember, we take our break, you take your break, so get up, stretch your legs, do whatever you need to do. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
We're back.
Welcome back, everybody. So, the next morning rises, and three of you are at Violet's, having passed out on various couches and beds that have been laid out for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And one of you is at a house that has previously been yours. Would you have slept in the master bedroom, or would you have just wanted to stay on the couch?
She, I think she would have slept in the master bedroom, but she would have made it very clear that they're just sleeping tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So you wake up. You absolutely wake up first between the two of you, as the conversations with them have mentioned. They are a night person and wake up later in the morning.
She's just going to lean over, kiss her on the forehead, and then get up.
See
Usual morning ritual.
The makeup definitely came off before bed because you don't want to sleep in your makeup. And you can see the 5 o'clock shadow that he normally has is already in full deployment, even after having shaved yesterday.
She will get up, go about a usual morning routine, but then will very quietly head downstairs and begin making breakfast.
It's about 5 minutes later that a dressed and sort of groggy Tyr brings the two kids down from their bedroom, and very quickly it seems like both the kids are sleepy as well, but gets them sort of moving towards the front door to get them out towards the school bus, so for their elementary school. Do you say anything as they pass by, or do you just let them go by without comment? Because they will likely not notice you until you say anything, just by virtue of you being in the kitchen and then walking the other direction to go get ready for school.
She will pull herself away from the food and then just stand in the kitchen doorway, but will not say anything.
You watch as Tyr sort of make sure that Modi and Penthesilea have all the stuff they need for school, and just sort of walks them out the door, closes the door behind, walks them out. You hear a school bus pulling up. And then a moment later, Tyr walks back in, realizes where you're standing. Good morning.
Morning. Well, I made enough for all of us, but I forgot about weekdays being school days. So the kids have pancakes for dinner.
I'll keep that in mind. Excellent.
What is on your docket today besides, I assume, a bunch of phone calls and a lot of time on that computer of yours?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of texting and calling back and forth today, but other than that, I am free for most of the morning.
How about you and I eat this in the living room? And I think I know you well enough at this point. I could be wrong. But why don't you show me some home movies?
I think I could do that. I think I've got some footage recorded that might be worthwhile. And while you have breakfast and watch some of your own memories, essentially, we pan over to the other three.
Mm-hmm.
As the three of you get up in the morning.
Jackson is up fairly early, probably didn't sleep much at all anyways. Is in an actual fucking city. So has gone out, picked up basic supply stuff, little things that probably hadn't had time to pick up yet. Probably some clothes. And I would expect when, it's staying inside because I don't want to risk being seen too much. And everybody else is up is probably in one court, like probably where the bar is. Half a pack already smoked. And has been in the process of sitting there with the phone with headphones on, connected to the phone, and is familiarizing himself with like how to actually operate it and like do all of the other stuff. And there is definitely music coming from the headphones because that's important. You have to get up to date on current music. It is necessary. So yeah, that's where he is current when everybody else gets up.
So what are Frisian and Joe up to this morning?
Joe fell asleep with headphones on.
Listening to one specific song.
Damn it, you know me so well. No, but just kind of slouched in the chair or the couch or whatever, and half asleep, half awake, and staring at the ceiling and just, hitting, well, not hitting repeat because she's probably got it on the automatic repeat of the song. So she's in her own little world. Just playing Kiss from a Rose over and over and over.
Frisian.
Frisian sleeps intermittently. Like he'd sleep for a couple of hours, then be up for like an hour, and then get
Sleep
a couple
for
more hours.
Another couple hours, yeah.
And especially towards the morning, kind of just starts pacing around.
Yeah, all right, Frisian.
Just feels like I have a lot of energy and nothing to do with it.
What would you like to do?
Right now, it feels like just running around.
Well, then go run around.
Frisian will go for a jog.
I was gonna say, while I was out, there were a number of people for some indiscernible reason doing that thing that they call jogging. I'm sure it would not be out of the ordinary for you to be seen doing exactly such a thing. As you can get a look at the city, see how things have changed since your time.
All right. Yeah. And Frisian goes for a jog.
Yeah. You're jogging through the inside of a relatively like a medium-sized to large city. So, like Knoxville is by no means New York, but it is still a city. So you make your way around several blocks of just the same square buildings with a few different facades and different shops, and people driving down the road like they got somewhere to be. If my experience driving from a state over is anything like anything at like the states, half of them don't know how to drive.
Only half.
Okay, the majority of them don't know how to drive.
Yep.
The environment is noisy, but maybe that's a good thing to you, as it sort of drowns out the sounds of your own inner monologue at times. It's when you're passing by a public facility that something strikes you. It's not quite right, but there's something about it that comes across. As you're driving by what is essentially a public pool, and you get the smell of wet air blowing by, and as the rising sun, the warmth on a wet and a humid environment plays by you. You feel like there should be the taste of salt on the air, but it's not. Something so close to something so familiar, but it's just not right. And there's something that you're missing, and a thing that you know you should be seeing, feeling, touching, sensing. And it's almost there. But it's just not the right place. But it makes you realize that you are missing a thing, a place. Even if it never came up in the past few days that you've been here, you realize there is something that you are missing. And the only thing that comes to mind is there's nothing, while the air is humid, it's not salty. And while it's warm, it's not the heat you're thinking of. But you continue to jog down the block, and it passes as you leave the public pool facility behind.
Frisian's like clenching his jaw, and less of a jog and ends up more into a full run.
Yeah.
And after running for a little while, like comes back down off that edge and resumes a jog and unclenches his jaw. and slowly jogs his way back around to the club.
Do you take the same path you came by and pass by that facility again, or do you purposefully avoid passing by it again?
Not purposefully, like Frisian's plan was to do a big loop anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So he just continues on into the big loop back around.
Eventually, you make your way back. Joe, I'm assuming, is sort of up, still listening to that thing, has awoken at this point.
Yeah.
There's going to be a point. I think I'm going to roll stealth for this. Well, not great. That's fine. You're distracted. You might not notice anyways. Where Jackson will quietly walk up, like I imagine you like laying on a couch or something like that.
Yeah.
Just walk up behind you and just reach out and like pull the earbuds out.
Hey!
Sweetie,
You have to go and do a thing like that
on
for.
up.
Hear the song end and then restart.
Yeah. Are you just listening to this on repeat?
Yes.
Have you listened to anything else?
No.
Over and sit down on the other end of the couch. You know, I understand the appeal. But you're trying to recapture something. The safe way, which is just going to be the painful way.
Listen, all I was doing is trying to sleep. All this talk about taking down your fetch. You got me thinking too hard about mine, and I don't know. You just seem so courageous about the whole thing.
That's one way to look at it.
And I couldn't, every time I closed my eyes, I would just see something in my place. And I don't know, and I'm scared. I'm scared about the cleanup. I'm scared about what it did. I'm scared about trying to get rid of it if it is still alive. And I had too many. I felt like I was gonna have a breakdown, and nobody needs that right now. I can't break down right now. And so the only thing I could think of was putting on the song, because at least then I can be somewhat sedated and comfortable, and I can actually get some freaking sleep.
Listen,
I'm
you
not
can go ahead.
trying to recapture anything. I just want to.
You do what you got to do to sleep. I understand that. I got too much anger in me for sleep right now. Somebody needs to be rested. That said, I understand very, very much the notion of being afraid and clinging to something that is comforting yet painful. I did that for many years before all of this happened, before I got snagged, before I got my life back together, before I got snagged. And I know how seductive that is. I'm just simply worried. It's a type of addiction. And one as maybe not overtly physically detrimental, but easily as emotionally devastating as it will hook you down and it'll sink you to the point that other people won't be able to recognize who you are. And while you may not need to, you will drive people away because you will want to stay in that painful bliss. I just don't want you to stay too long in that.
Joe switches the song from Kiss from a Rose to I'm So Sick by Flyleaf.
I
As far as a breakdown, nobody having time for that. We've got at least a little bit of time. If you need to have your moment, take your moment, even if that moment is hours or a day.
oh this no we need
What I need,
it's not about me right now, okay? I already feel useless enough.
first of all, you are not useless. So we will be quite done with that. Thank you. The reason you feel so, I'm going out on a limb here. But I think the reason you feel so useless and you don't know what to do, you don't know what you can offer, is because you are stuck in a mode of perpetual indecision right now. Is that fair? You don't know what to do about anything.
No, I don't.
And that's because you're trying to keep it pressed down. It's not your time. It's not whatever excuse is convenient at that moment. Because, sorry to say this, you don't want to deal with it. Again, I know, I understand.
It's not. You're already gonna slap me for this. It's not important right now.
Bitch, I swear to God. Let's put it this way. Let's take it out of your well-being pot because I don't think you can come to terms with that right now. Because you are fine, everything is okay. You will hold it down and you will deal with this later. If you are stuck in this current position, you are limiting yourself and how useful you can be because you are not able to fully process what is going on, and you will be stuck. Let's say we are in that hypothetical situation. We go in there, and somehow, despite my very clear, very detailed, with multiple backup situation plans, everything goes awry. And it comes down to you. And you don't know what to do. And you stuck there frozen instead of making a decision. That's a liability. I'm not saying you are a liability because you are not. But in your current state, you are potentially predisposed to being frozen with indecision. That's not good for us. Now, again, to be clear, that is not the primary reason I am having this conversation with you. That is just the excuse that I hope will kick your ass enough into trying to deal with this at least a little bit. What do you need to help you? Would information help? Would going by and doing something ridiculously stupid like going by to visit, drive by a place that you might be able to see something help? Would going out and finding, I don't know, someone who looks like something you don't like and beating the shit out of them help? I don't know.
I don't think assault charges are going to get us anywhere.
Assault charges are nothing. But would 3 gallons of gin help? I don't know. What do you need? Let's put that to a different way. What do you, if everything else were off the table, absolutely everything else, our slate was totally clear of any potential problems, what would you want to do in this particular moment?
Right now?
Yes.
If we weren't plotting to take down a fetch?
Exactly.
I guess looking for information.
Huh. That would be very difficult to do. Oh, look, I have a phone. Huh. I wonder if the information is in here. Let's find out, shall we?
Are you turning the pages on a phone?
No, I am starting to Google things that are potentially related to things I have heard you say because you won't give me any further information. If
No, but
find
I saw you
information-
doing this.
Oh, it was like tap 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 tap. Shit, I just opened TikTok. All right, so
I love the idea that legitimately fucking that Jackson just opened TikTok on accident.
Muscle
I
memory's a
get this?
bitch, huh, Jeremy?
You're right. Be just by like I'd open it up and it'd come up to one of the some song, and then we get copyright struck. For like half a second. But no, I am simply Googling information based on what little I have heard from you about things. So if I come across some information that is potentially useful, but not necessarily what you want to know, that would be unfortunate unless you were to tell me the things that you would want me to search, in which case I can search the things that you want to know. Tap, 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 tap.
And Joe's just gonna find a piece of paper and write some things down. Said, this is my name before.
All right.
That's my husband's name. These are the charities he works with. This is my family's business. This is the bookstore where I worked.
Perfect. And I'm going to start researching.
Roll me intelligence and investigation again.
Yep. Investigation, not intimidation. Sadly, you cannot intimidate an iPhone.
Its
One.
unblinking stare is unaffected.
I mean, if I were a virtual adept, I could intimidate an iPhone. But
this isn't a mage game, unfortunately. It could be in the future. We could run a mage game on Monday nights at some point. I got two people just look at me like you have opened Pandora's box.
Wait, what?
I said we could run a mage game on Monday nights at some point. And Julia gives me a look, and Jeremy gives me a look.
Almost like me promising changing breeds for Jeremy. Don't worry, that's next.
Yeah. But with one success, while you find the Arbor family bookstore, you do not find mention of Joy Arbor.
Well, no, you wouldn't, because Arbor is the married name.
Sorry. You find the bookstore. Correction.
yeah,
You find the family bookstore. You do not find mention of Joy, the daughter of said
okay.
family. You do find mention of the husband, and you find mention specifically in tabloids of the husband. Local tabloids commenting on the husband's romantic fling with some unknown individual whose name is never mentioned seems to have ended, and he has returned to his place in the family business and is managing so many charities and is continuing business as normal and yada yada yada, blah 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 blah. It seems, to all intents and purposes, to an outsider, as if this never happened, as if the romantic elopement between Joe and her husband just was like a one night stand, and then he went back to doing his business as usual. Which you're changelings. There's some shit behind that.
But it could be as simple as so how much do you want to know?
Go ahead and tell me everything.
Well, good news is, at least in a physical capacity, from what I can see, your man is fine. It appears as if you're being described as a fling by the press. I'm sure that is some sort of nonsense dealt to them by his family's lawyer, publicity person, whoever it might be.
Any number of people, yeah.
Exactly. And he is back to doing what he used to be doing. But he seems fine. And the good part of that means that at the very least, if you do have a fetch, it is not attached to him. That makes that easier. And how much of this whole thing is bullshit and how much isn't, that depends on the law, the what the family is presenting versus. But once we deal with my situation, not that your situation is not equally as important, but once we deal with my situation, as we know, that is an in to get a meeting with your man. If you like, we are waiting for our associates to finish the planning and the gathering of technology or whatever they may be doing. How far away is this bookstore from here?
Oh,
that was out of character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Cosby, Tennessee.
So it's a ways away.
Yeah.
I don't know. That very much sounds like a suburb, so I have no idea how far away.
It's a very, very, very tiny town.
It is past, like, it is a brief drive past Sevierville, or like if you go down through Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg and then hook a road east.
It's like an hour's drive from Knoxville.
Yeah.
Yep. Huh. I mean, that doesn't stop us. Hour isn't that long. We could drive by. But that's up to you.
Hour's kind of a long time for just a drive-by.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I not being clear? By drive by, I meant drive up, walk in, look around, have probably a very ill-advised encounter with somebody. leave and figure out how to sort that mess out later.
That's what you mean by drive by.
That's what I meant by drive-by.
Gotta be a very dramatic drive-by.
I meant throw a metaphysical hand grenade into this situation and see how that sorts out all the tangles. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I always support people making bad ideas. As long as those bad ideas are something.
I feel like if I say I don't know, you're just gonna go back on the indecisive rant again. So fuck it, let's go.
All right.
But we don't have a fucking car.
Joe, a thought that comes to you as you're saying that, you haven't been back to the cabin.
No.
That's along the way, if nothing else. It's literally outside of Dollywood and Pigeon Forge.
And make the as long as we're making bad ideas, making bad choices, the place where I was taken is on the way.
Do you want to go there? Do you want to go there instead? Because no, my only concern here is I don't know how long an Uber driver will wait. Well, we
Right.
stop by the cabin, and I don't know if you will handle your location any better than I handled mine, but if you will recall, I did come out with this, hefting the fire axe.
I mean, there could be somebody there for all I know.
So you're saying bring the fire axe?
I don't think I can stop you.
Certainly you can. All you got to do is say, please do not bring the fire axe.
I honestly don't think that would stop you.
Well, that's unfortunate on your part. All right, how do we use this Uber app? Help me out here. Do you want to wait for Frizzing to get back, or
Door opens as Frisian walks in.
Hey, Frisian, you want to make some bad choices with us?
I've made plenty. What's a few more?
That's the spirit. We are going to a cabin in the woods where supernatural events occurred.
We're going to the place where I was taken.
That doesn't sound any more dangerous than almost getting blown up on an island in the Pacific. Whatever.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
No. No, how the hell do you think that I'm just going to let that go?
Oh yeah, Joe, I forgot to ask last night. What the hell's the Google?
So you know when you used to pick up the phone and ask the person to connect you to the person you wanted to talk to?
Operator, yeah.
Operator, yeah. Google is an operator that doesn't talk.
So why would you call them?
You don't. You use the.
I just go get a drink because I want to see how this conversation is going to play out.
Explaining Google to your grandfather.
So the man on the other side of the internet tells me what I want to know.
So
What's an internet?
So the internet is basically all the operators all over the world waiting to connect you to the information that you want. All you have to do is type it with the keys like a typewriter. You type it in, and then you hit this button here, and then it gives you the information that you want.
That seems very convenient.
It is very convenient.
It's like I remember having to go to the library and find some of the encyclopedias and hope they were up to date ones even.
I understand. I guess the internet is kind of like a giant card catalog.
Don't even begin to get into the fact that the information is that there is false information on the internet yet.
One step at a time.
As Jackson just has a drink watching,
Uh-huh.
trying to explain the internet.
I think I did a pretty good job.
Try and explain the internet to a person who's only vaguely heard of computers as a thing that a college campus was developing.
I didn't even use the word computers. I used
Somebody who
and operators
somebody
and card
for whom-
catalogs.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I said I use typewriters and operators and card catalogs.
Explain it to somebody for whom the concept of rotary telephones is new. Pretty sure.
Yep.
That was the implication. That Jackson's main phone usage was you pick it up and it just connects to an operator.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I guess rotary phones were. Anyway. Um
What bad decision are we making?
like I said, we are going to a cabin in the woods where Joe was acquired by her keeper. And then, assuming that we survive that, we are probably going to a bookstore.
Sounds like a plan then.
We will see how it all goes. Oh, I should. So I pull out my phone and start texting Calliope. Going to cabin in woods. Thumbs up. Send.
Oh no. Jackson's the grandmother who sends emotes with literally every text.
No, it's just funnier for Jackson to imagine Calliope's reaction to that bizarrely ominous text.
But so Calliope is gonna text Joe and be like,
I mean, there's also just the fact that thumbs up emoji is just a reoccurring meme for this show.
It's a
Also
callback.
that.
Absolutely.
you will get a text back a few minutes later. Time? Question mark.
It's been a couple of minutes. How long till the Uber arrives?
Like 5 minutes.
Leaving in 5. And give address and you can meet us there. Because that certainly never worked out poorly in a horror film.
How far from the house is it?
You're in Sevierville. You're way closer than they are. It's like a 20-minute drive for you. If that, maybe even less, actually. Hang on. It's not a long drive. You're going from Sevierville to Pigeon Forge.
And it's about an hour drive to Knoxville.
Are we in Knoxville right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
about a 15-minute drive for you. Whereas for them, it's about a 45-minute drive. Because they're in Knoxville. Yeah.
I hate to keep asking you to play chauffeur, but about a half hour. Is there any way I could get you to drop me off somewhere?
Yeah, I could bring you wherever you need to go.
Seattle.
Don't think he won't put her on a plane if she needs to go to Seattle. Hell, she's got the money. She can get the ticket herself.
She get the plane.
Yes, but specifically it was, can I get a ride to somewhere? So that would be a ride all the way to Seattle.
Yeah. I will learn to fly a plane.
Just Google it.
Yeah. So, yeah, where are we going?
She will relay the cabin address.
Yeah. It's one of the Dollywood resort cabins.
They just gave me an address. So
At least it's in the right location anyway. Up in the mountains, like literally just outside of Dollywood. Where most people who want to go to Dollywood for a romantic vacation can get a cabin, for whatever that is worth. I mean, Dolly Parton's a lovely woman, but I don't know why you would go to her theme park for a vacation getaway. Maybe because it's close. Who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe there's somebody that could tell you this information.
I'm sure whoever the cabin is attached to, then they'd be able to let me. She sort of does some mental math. And she'll just text Joe back. So what happened at this cabin, Joe?
It was the Joe's got a text back. After we eloped, it's where our honeymoon was supposed to be until I got taken.
Oh, she will say out loud. Well, looks like we aren't going to scout out another vacation destination.
Can't say I'm surprised.
apparently is where Joe got taken.
Yeah, I'm learning more and more that there's always something inherently traumatic among changelings.
Well, there's this like sneaking suspicion in the back of my mind that while everybody has the trauma of being taken and whatnot, as much as I hate the experience I had, part of me really fucking hopes that at least some of them are treated right.
Some of those that are taken?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't put much stock in that from beings who see us as so unimportant that they'll take us for literal toys. I mean, there are people around here who take good care of their toys, but like,
I mean, I I spent 4 years as water, so I kind of get it.
can't even imagine it. And I'm just glad you're back. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't hold out hope that anyone enjoyed their time there.
Well, a lot of it's hazy, and you spend, listen, 4 years over here might have been centuries where I was, but I do remember the beginnings. I remember a lot of pain, and there was a lot of heat, and then there was no feeling whatsoever until I popped back out. And all I was able to do was think. Anyway, she would turn off the home movies. Um, I have about a half hour until we need to leave if timing works right in my head. Um, so I just hope Joe's able to face this, and I don't want to miss this. Feel like I feel like she needs me.
I wouldn't doubt that.
I've only known her since yesterday, but I've grown real attached to the girl.
No. You're a real rock to anyone who gets to know you. But you're saying something for someone made of water.
I don't feel like I can be support for anybody.
Tear pulls you into a hug. You've been my support even while you weren't here. And now that you are here, you've been my support even more, and you've been the support of all of these people who have been relying on you for even if it's only been a couple of days. And I imagine they'll keep relying on you as time goes on. And I know you've got it in you. Because out of all the things that have changed, that hasn't in the time that I've seen you since you've been back.
She will text Joe, I will meet you there.
Joe will text back. Thank you. That means everything. I'm glad I don't have to do this alone.
She's just gonna set her phone down and just collapse into tear.
Here, we'll just hold on to her. And as she takes her time to put herself back together, that's where we will end for the week. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.